Very good morning and welcome to round one of the Repsol CEV live from the Circuito do Estoril here in Portugal. Jack Appleyard here alongside Elliot York to bring you the opening 5 races of the 2019 season. We've got Junior World Championship and European Moto 2 action on the way. But first up, we're starting things with the European Talent Cup. It was Xavier Artigas who was crowned champion this time last year. But let's remind you how. So that's how the 2018 season went, but all our attention now is on the 2019 season. A 16-lap race to kick us off in the European Talent Cup, the Circuito de Estoril. 4 left-hand corners, 9 right-handers for them to try and master. But the interesting thing, as you will see in the background, is the conditions are, to put it politely, abysmal out there. The air temperature at the moment, 12 degrees centigrade, track temperature just a little above that at 14. They have had wet weather throughout the vast majority of the weekend, but the grid that we're going to run through shortly was held in dry conditions yesterday. The man on pole position, Jose Rueda, actually went under the fastest ever lap around the Circuito de Estoril, whereas in warm-up this morning, we're talking 15, 16, 17 seconds slower than that. So it's going to be an interesting one to see who can make movements through from the back echelons of the grid. As I say, my name's Jack Appleyard, with you all afternoon. Alongside me is Elliot York. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Jack. Good morning, viewers. Yes, it's wet, cloudy and grey outside, but that's not dampened our spirits inside the commentary box. We're looking forward to it. The riders are heading to the grid now.
Yeah, pit lane now open, so the vast majority of the guys making their way to their grid slots in front of us. In terms of the grid, in terms of the European Talent Cup, a real mixed bag in terms of nationality. In terms of ages, you look in, the eldest on the grid out there is 17 years of age, whereas the youngest is 13. In fact, there's a couple of 12-year-olds out there as well, including Maverick Vinales, his little cousin, Dean Berta, at 12 years old. So it's really the breeding ground for the future. The top 3 from last year have all made their way up into the Junior World Championship, which we'll bring you through later on in the show. But for the European Talent Cup, this is where the stars are born, and we're going to have to see a boatload of talent from the youngsters in these conditions. Not in any way, shape or form an easy way to start the season.
It really isn't ideal, no. As we said, it's still throwing it down like it has been pretty much the whole weekend. Yeah, difficult circumstances for the youngsters, and seeing some of them in the hotel, it's crazy to see how young some of these riders are. And like you say, it is the breeding ground for the Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP World Championship. So this is really where it all begins for them.
It certainly is, and that's the man on pole position, the number 95 of Jose Rueda. When we're talking about age, just 13 years of age is the young Spaniard from Sevilla. To be perfectly honest, I think if you were to put a €5 note on a favourite coming into it, with the top 3 having moved out of the series, Jose Rueda finished 4th in the championship last year, including 4 podium finishes, a win at Aragon. So you would probably say he's quite possibly the favourite coming into the championship.
He should be one of the favourites, yeah. Like you say, 4th in the European Talent Cup last year, 17th and 8th in Estoril last season as well. And the 8th was a good result in the dry last season. So yeah, I think starting from pole, obviously a great position for him to start the race from. And yeah, like you say, I think we could be looking at one of the favourites on pole for sure.
but if you've ever seen a European Talent Cup race before, just because you're on pole position doesn't mean it's going to be plain sailing for you by any stretch of the imagination. There's a Brit on row number 1 as well, the number 47 of Fenton Seabright. Great performance from him. He was in the British Talent Cup last season, finishing 12th, a best of 3rd place at the opening round of Donington. 16 years of age is a young man from Essex. You can see to the left of him there is his teammate Jack Hart, who will go in the European Talent Cup Series 2 race, the last on our bill here. But great performance from Fenton in conditions that you would have to say for the Brits he's slightly more familiar with.
Yes, it is, definitely. He's known as El Giri, the foreigner, because he's lived in Spain since when he was 2, so maybe he is a Brit, but maybe he's used to the hot weather living in Spain, but no less. Yes, clearly goes well in the damp conditions.
And here's the man on the outside of the front row, Cass Beekmans. It's his first full season in the European Talent Cup. He actually did the last 2 rounds of 2018, but only finished 28th and 36. So to get up onto the front row, there's been a vast improvement from him over the winter.
Yeah, age 14, like you say, born in Mallorca, so he's used to the dry conditions as well. So yeah, let's see how he goes in the wet. Runner-up in the Spanish Pre-Moto 3 Championship last season. So he's a hot young prospect, and here is Diego Marina, number 92. He is age 14, born in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and this is also his debut season in the European Talent Cup. So, 4th place in his debut qualifying, cracking result.
Not bad going at all. In terms of grip, obviously, in the wet conditions, it's going to be slightly less grippy than in the dry, but the Circuito de Estoril was resurfaced in October here, and from speaking to a couple of the guys, often you'll find when a track has been resurfaced at first, it becomes super slippy in the wet conditions, but actually it's had an adverse effect, if anything. A couple of the guys saying that there's far more grip than they ever expected there to be, and it's actually quite an abrasive surface as well. I think Dunlop, who are the tyre suppliers for the European Talent Cup and the Junior World Championship and the European Moto 2, were actually surprised at the manner in which the tyres were getting shred to pieces throughout Thursday and Friday in free practice, but they've made some changes to the tyres as a result of that, so hopefully we shouldn't see those issues. But the good news is, in these conditions, we should have plenty of grip.
We should indeed. We just saw 5th on the grid. Now we're seeing 5th and 6th. Sorry, now we're seeing David Munoz, number 7, the 64 rider from Spain, age 12, so he's one of the youngest on the grid. He was 13th in the 2018 European Talent Cup last season and actually won in Aragon. So, race-winning pedigree, I'll get my teeth in. And starting from 7th, good result.
Certainly is. One man that we forgot to mention on row 2, the middle of that is Alex Milan. He won in Albacete last season, and that was the only race held in wet conditions. So if you were to look at a form book, you would probably say the number 23 of Alex Milan in the middle of the second row is my man to keep an eye on, as is Ivan Ortoya. He's on the outside. There he is, the number 24, a part of the Aspar team, or now known as the Sama Global Angel Nieto team. 14 years of age. Pre-Moto 3 Championship last season within Spain. He's made the jump up into the European Talent Cup for this season. But he's clearly a talent if the likes of Aspar are signing him at such a young age.
Absolutely. One of the big teams in the paddock are the Sama Qatar Angel Nieto team. Of course, got Moto 3 pedigree and Moto 2 pedigree. So there's a clear path for them to reach that World Championship stage.
Here's the man in the middle of the third row, Juan Rodriguez, the number 38 machine. He was runner-up in the Spanish Moto 4 Championship last season, so again another man making his first steps into the European Talent Cup. It's well worth mentioning the number 31 as well, who should have been second on the grid, Roberto Garcia. He was the only man to get within 0.2 of a second of our pole man Jose Rueda. Not on the grid at all though, because after qualifying during the post-session technical inspections, he was found to be under the weight limit of 145 kilograms for rider and bike combined. So, as a result of that, instead of being second on the grid, he's not on the grid, full stop. So, the number 31, Roberto Garcia, just spare a thought for him. He wouldn't actually be on the grid full stop if it wasn't for his mum and dad winning €3,000, and I think it was a lottery ticket back when he was 3 years old. Amazing. So, plenty of luck there. Slightly not as fortunate to have been, I was told, less than a kilogram under that 145 kilo limit. But rules are rules, so he's not on the grid whatsoever. He's another man, a part of the Estoril Galicia junior talent team. This is Adrian Cruces. Another man, they've got so many on the grid of the Monlau Repsol school. Adrian Cruces, another one of them. A debut year for him. We've spoken about the Spanish Moto4 Championship. He actually won that series last year. So another man, how old is he? 12 years of age. Has got plenty of potential.
Yeah, all of these riders have got huge potential, otherwise they wouldn't be in this class for sure. And at the age of 12, he's got such a long career ahead of him. So in these conditions, you want to take it steady, you want to get through it, and it's all about gaining experience for these guys.
And you can see there's quite a lot of familiar liveries out there as well. We've already seen the junior Angel Nieto Sama Global team. There's the junior Estrella Galicia team as well. We've also got the junior Leopard squad. A lot of the more renowned Moto3 and Moto2 squads that you'll see within the World Championship also have some form of an impact in this Repsol CEV series. This is where the vast majority of the riders that you see making the step up all start their careers.
Yeah, it's great to see as well that they've got a proper breeding ground in the European Talent Cup, the Moto3 Junior World Championship, and then, yeah, like I say, you've got the clear path towards Moto3, Moto2, and sometimes even MotoGP.
David Alonso there, he's on the outside of the fourth row of the grid, another 12-year-old. He's a big Isle of Man TT fan, apparently, so much so that he actually saw Lee Johnston a couple of weeks ago. I think he was actually possibly slightly taller than Lee Johnston. He was a Spanish GP85 champion from last season, so a bit of a step up for him to go from a GP85 to the Honda 250s that we see in the European Talent Cup.
And here we see the best capital Dubai man of Fermin Algeia. I'll get my words out eventually, that's a hard one to pronounce. The 14-year-old, 10th in the 2018 European Talent Cup and P3 at Estoril last season, so he clearly likes the track. So
here's the grid for the opening race of the Repsol European Talent Cup for 2019. Jose Rueda on pole position, an impressive quarter of a second clear of Fenton Seabright with Kaz Beekmans, the Dutchman, on the outside of the front row.
Row 2, we saw just there, sorry, and then here we go, row 4, Adrian Cruces, Andreas Koffler and David Alonso.
Row 5, Fermin Aldeguer, Daniel Munoz and Freddie Heinrich.
Row 6 is Van der Gorberg, Michael Bulik and Daijuri Sako.
A 51.981 for the Japanese man, about 2 seconds slower than pole position. Row 7 is Bin Azman, followed by Mario Meyer and Josh Watley.
Row 8 is Fernandez, Palzani and Alfano.
And then row number 9, Gabin Plonks, Marcos Uriarte and Kiko Moreira, the Portuguese man on home soil.
Plenty more still to come. There's Rouge on row 10, Verdugo and Avila.
And then row 11, Vincent Falcone, Daniel Mageda and Dean Berta. That was Maverick Vinales, his little cousin that we mentioned earlier.
Row 12 is Julio Garcia, Noah Detweiler and
Carlos Torcamilas. And then the final places on the grid, Mattia Volpi, Marco Gaggi, Jack Hart actually gets his place on the grid, which is good to see. And then the last place on the grid, the only female on the grid as well, from Finland is Jenny Ruukalainen.
Great to see a female on the grid. Here we go then.
She's an interesting character, actually, is Jenny, because although she's from Finland and she's got a very Finnish name in Ruukalainen, she's actually born in Santa Barbara, America, as a 17-year-old, one of the more elderly statesmen on this European Talent Cup grid. Bit of a problem here for Jose Rueda, the pole man. They're just having to get the starter motor there to get it going. Trying to kick it into gear. There's a lot of panic you can see from both mechanics there. And that's for both Estrella Galicia junior talent teams as well. And I think the marshals are telling them to make their way off the grid. Well, proper drama at the start here. The poleman, Jose Rueda, it looks like he's stalled it. And as a result of that, or the team haven't started the bike in time, and they're having to not only roll him off from pole position, but also his teammate who was supposed to front row number 2 of the grid in Diego Moreira. Yeah, an absolute disaster there, running back to the pits. Let's hope they can get it started and get onto the warm-up lap. But we're about ready to go, so they've not got much time to get that bike back, get it started, and like you say, yeah, get ready. But here we go, onto the warm-up lap. Well, what a disastrous start for them. You can see an open space in pole position and 4th on the grid as well. For both of them, they'll be able to get it down pit lane, get it started, and start from pit lane as a result. But from being on pole position, suddenly you're right at the back of the grid. And what a surprise to see both of them as well. It looks like it's an issue for the team more than anything else, not starting the bike up in time as we get underway for our warm-up lap. Oh, just as you would not want the season to start.
So disappointing. Like I say, let's hope they get it up. And look at the spray. Look at the spray.
That's going to be a big issue for them to try and contend with as well. So suddenly, after yesterday's qualifying, Fenton Seabright was supposed to be third on the grid, and then Roberto Garcia was deducted, which means he moved up to second, and now there's nobody in pole position, which pretty much means that it's Fenton Seabright on pole position for the middle of the front row.
Yeah, cracking for the Brit in that, cracking look. And yeah, let's hope we can get a good start. Like you say, from the front you won't get much spray, so that's giving them an advantage. And like you say, from the start, even though they were going quite slow off the grid, you can see how much spray there was, so they've got to be careful going into turn one.
Complete nightmare for both Jose Rueda and Diego Moreira as well. To start from pit lane, 38 other riders in front of them now. And as we mentioned, the spray is going to be such a difficult thing for them to try and overcome. Yeah.
Well, we saw them in the warm-up. They were having to duck their heads from behind their visors on the pit straight so they can see where they're going. And look at that. You can see how bad it is there.
So it's going to have a word in their ear. Both 13 and 14 years of age are the two men that are going to have to start from pit lane. Similar to what we saw from Fabio Quartararo in his first MotoGP race. It took Wilco Zeelenberg just to have a word in his ear and say, calm down, you're going to have cold tyres, you're going to have cold brakes. The brakes not as much an issue for these guys, but certainly the cold tyres in these conditions, when you've got a track temperature of 14 degrees, it's going to take an experienced head just to say to 13 and 14-year-old lads, look, it's okay, keep your head. It's going to have to be just a damage limitation job for them now. Surely they can't win the race starting from pit lane when there's that many people in front of them. See if you can rescue some points.
Yeah, rescuing some points I think would be the aim here. And like you say, they've got to keep a cool head. These conditions are about as treacherous as you can get. And of course the 13, 14-year-old lads, so all they want to do is go out and go as quick as they can. But yeah, like I say, they've got to be careful. And it is still hammering it down with rain, so conditions aren't getting any better.
Yeah, the rain continuing to fall, and unsurprisingly, I don't think we have to tell you, but every single man and woman on the grid is having wet front and wet rear. 16 laps ahead of us for the European Talent Cup. 2 races for these guys today. Race 2 will be set purely from qualifying. Regardless of the result, it will be the same grid come race 2 later in the afternoon. But what an injection of confidence it will be to get onto the podium or possibly win first time out. There's the number 47, Fenton Seabright. Now, well, we're going to have to call him pole position from second on the grid with no Jose Rueda. He'll be used to these conditions, having battled his way through the KTM RC 390 Championship, which he won back in 2017, a part of the British Talent Cup. You can see wearing those leathers last year, and a part of it this year as well, which gets underway next week, incidentally, at Silverstone. Getting nice and warmed up. The number 47 of Fenton Seabright. To the right of him, the Dutchman in Kaz Beekmans. And then we're not going to see anybody in fourth on the grid. In fact, they're going to start from the back of the grid, so it's not going to be a pit lane start, but a back row start for Jose Rueda.
That's good to see.
I'm not sure if Diego Moreira, his Brazilian teammate, in fact, his Brazilian teammate's there in fourth, so I'm not sure what's happened there. We could see a black flag. It'll be interesting to see as we wait for the lights to go out. Green flag at the back goes, red lights are on, and we're away at the European Talent Cup. The first race of Repsol CV for 2019 is underway. Great start from Fenton Seabright, but it's Diego Moreira from row 2 of the grid, controversially, who's going to take the whole shot. But who's that diving through? The number 24 of Ivan Ortola, who'll take the whole shot, followed by the 2 Estrella Galicia Junior Talent Team men. So is everybody just about going to squeeze through turn number 1? It looks like that, but it's Ortola that hits the front. One of the Estrella Galicia team down. It could possibly have been Adrian Cruces, the number 10.
I think it is Cruces. Yeah, he's dropping down the time in order. That's so unfortunate for the Spaniard.
Big high side for the Spaniard. Hope he's okay. But it's Diego Moreira. Controversially, should he even be there? Surely if he was had to be wheeled off the grid, he couldn't take his 4th place on the second row of the grid, but he has done, and he's continued, and he's chasing down our race leader, even Ortola. That's good to see. Adrian Cruz says back up onto his feet as a result of that. That was a big high side for the young man to try and take, but it looks it looks like the leading two are already starting to break clear. It's Alex Milan, another of the Spaniards, in third place, just trying to close in on our leading duo at the moment, but it's Ortola that leads.
He is 0.3 ahead of Moreira, who's chasing him down closely at the minute. Milan in third is 1.7 back of the lead. So yeah, these two breaking quite quickly. And Seabright in fourth, 2.4 off, but steady going. It's all right for the moment.
It could be a bit of a race of attrition as Moreira had just a bit of a bobble there before they flick left into the S's here. They go right and then left. It's Ortola who's looked fairly strong there. That's another fall. It's Andreas Koffler, the number 19, the young Austrian that's gone down. A best finish of 15 for Jerez last season for him. Only ever scored points on the one occasion, so it looks like he's going to have to wait for further rounds in the championship to try and pick up his second points as we focus on the leading two, Ortola and Moreira. Just starting to break clear by ever so slightly, because it looks as if they're well over a second clear now of Milan in third, and Seabright has managed to catch on to the rear of Milan in third place. In fact, it looks as if he's going to draft his way past is the young Brit to take third place. There he is in the background. Up into third is Fenton Seabright, but it's Ortola that leads on lap one.
He is 0.3 Ortola of Moreira, who's closing him down. And Milan 2.2 ahead. Sorry, 2.2 behind the leaders, with Seabright right on his tail, but he's through now at turn one. But here comes Milan again.
Back through under the inside. Good move from Milan as he dived under the inside there. It's a good start by Dirk Geiger as well. 16-year-old German rider. He was way back on the grid, was Dirk Geiger. Row number 3, the outside of that, so he's battled through well, and he's looking strong as well. Seabright back up into third, and Geiger all over the back of Alex Milan as well. He was someone I fancied before we got going in this one, having won in similar-ish conditions at Albacete last season, but just struggling to adapt at the moment and seems to be holding up the men behind him, because Seabright, once he's got in front, he's pulled clear, and now here comes Geiger to take Milan as well. Easy as you like on the running towards Parabolica Interior.
Yeah, you can see how treacherous the conditions are still, and still the rain looking out the commentary box window is hammering it down, so conditions really aren't getting any easier. But it's Ortola who is going good at the front, 0.8 clear now of Moreira in second, with Seabright in third, leading the gaggle of riders for that battle.
Super impressive stuff from Ortola at the moment, over half a second quicker than the man in second place, the Brazilian Moreira, through sector one alone. Really finding his feet in these tricky conditions. You can see he's possibly one of the bigger riders out there, and as a result of that, he's able to use those long limbs to good effect.
Yeah, you can see them all coming through the S's now, up towards turn 11 and 12 into the left-hander. Fenton Seabright just breaking clear slightly of the number 6 of Geiger as they come round the Parabolica Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, Seabright's definitely pulled clear of that battle for third place. It's going to be interesting to see now that he's got clear track ahead of him, whether he can pull in Moreira in second place. And that's what you mentioned earlier, Elliot. In these conditions, just having to bob the right to the right-hand side because he can't see through the screen. It's misting up that much, even for the race leader. And that's the fastest lap of the race coming from Ortola, a 2:08.487. Compare that to the fastest ever lap that Jose Rueda put in qualifying yesterday of a 1:49.9, almost 20 seconds slower, just proving how difficult these conditions are. But Ortola, the man able to conquer them, best at the moment, 1.5 seconds clear of Moreira. And we'll just keep our eye now through this first sector, whether Seabright can close in on Moreira. It doesn't look to be. 26.5, exactly the same as the man in front of him. So he's not able to make any ground up just yet, is the Brit in third place.
No, Ortola half a second faster than anyone else in that first sector, so he's going really well, the number 24, as they come through the left kink into the interior Parabolica. Still conditions are bad, you can't even see on the TV screen.
Yeah, very difficult stuff out there. Ortola, this is his debut race in the European Talent Cup. What a way for him to start. Signed by Aspar and the Sama Global Angel Nieto team last season for the Premoto Free Championship here in Spain. Was a top 5 contender in that. But he just looks so comfortable out there, yet to have a scary moment. It just looks so smooth, which is a really difficult thing to do in these conditions. It's Moreira using every last bit of track out there.
Yeah, got to be careful on those curbs and white lines. It's okay in the dry, but in the wet conditions, as most of us know, it's really, really slippy. So yeah, they've got to be careful going out there. But Seabright looks to be closing in. He's only two seconds down now, and he was 9/10 faster in Sector 3.
And half a second in Sector 2 as
yeah,
well.
So
he's
closing down really, really quickly.
Almost pulled back a second and a half in this lap alone. And we've got a ride-through penalty. This is what we thought might occur. Diego Moreira, the man who started from 4th on the grid, he was supposed to start from the back of the grid like his teammate did, Jose Rueda. As a result of taking an incorrect grid position, it's going to be a ride-through penalty for the number 92 in second at the moment. So you can almost discount him from what we're seeing. Fenton Seabright will move up to second, and the number 64, David Munoz, who has come from nowhere to take third place once we see Moreira take his penalty.
Yeah, disaster for Moreira there. 3.88 seconds off the lead, but you can forget about that now. His race is all but over. Maybe he can challenge for some points later in the race, but it's going to be incredibly difficult. So yeah, this means Seabright up to second in his first ever European Talent Cup race, just sitting 0.6 behind the second place man at the minute, with Ortola continuing on his way, 3.7 clear now.
Certainly is. Another fastest lap again from the young Spaniard, but just 0.3 of a second quicker than Seabright, who's the second quickest man on track. David Munoz, who's 4th at the moment, will eventually be bumped up to 3rd place once Moreira takes his penalty. He's showing a very similar place to the young Brit. But the only issue for them is they've got to try and get past Moreira, who could possibly hold them up, and he is doing for Seabright at the moment.
Fingers crossed he's seen either his pit board or the board they hold out with the number 92 on it, because in these conditions it's going to be tricky to see. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he's seen it and he'll pull in either this lap or the next lap. But yeah, Seabright can just sit behind him for now.
The thing is, he won't want to sit behind him for too long, because he can see Ortola in front, breaking clear.
Could make a move, or is he making a move?
Had a good look up the inside as they went into the S's, but no room for Seabright to make his way through. Meanwhile, David Munoz and the number 22 of Clermont Rouge is starting to make progress as well. The young Frenchman, only 16 years of age, he's going to be in the Red Bull Rookies this season. He's made some great progress through from a long way down on the grid. That's the penalty board with the number 92 on for the Brazilian to see. But as you rightly say, Elliot, easier said than done in these conditions, especially when you've got Fenton Seabright right up your chuffer to try and see the penalty board.
And we can see he's not seeing it yet. So hopefully he sees it this lap as we see Fenton come past our commentary box, lining up alongside Moreira. Can he get it done into turn 2? Looks like he has on the brakes. Yeah, good move from Fenton Seabright.
Easy as you like from the young Brit to dive through, as we now see race direction info come up at the bottom of your screen. Ride through penalty for the number 92 as a result of taking up that incorrect grid slot. In terms of your pole position man, Jose Rueda, that we saw start from the back of the grid, he's already up to 14th, and he's actually is he the quickest man on track, Jose Rueda? 2:07.576. He's 0.3 of a second quicker than our race leader, Ortola.
He is 15.9 seconds behind those, so I don't think the race win is in sight. But like you say, that incredible progression through the ranks at the start of the race is impressive to see. So
up to 13th now is Rueda. I tell you what, a podium is certainly
absolutely
not out of his wildest estimations here.
He's less than 10 seconds off Seabright, who is now in second and pulling clear. So yeah, definitely a podium could be on here for the Was poleman, let's say.
Meanwhile, in this battle for the final podium places, Moreira can almost discount him at this rate. He's got 3 laps to take his penalty. It'll be massively frustrating for David Munoz and for Clermont Rouge behind him as well, because you can see how much he's holding them up. Meanwhile, Fenton Seabright, that they were hoping to chase down and battle, is able to pull clear and get a little bit of a comfort buffer as Rouge makes his way under the inside of Munoz as they go into the S's. Nicely done from the Frenchman.
So yeah, let's see if Moreira comes in this lap. Hopefully he saw the boards as he'll come around the final corner, the Parabolica, and the pit lane is just off to the right. So let's see if he pulls in. But meanwhile, here's Seabright chasing down your race leader, Ortola. Similar lap times actually this lap. I think Seabright just 0.1 off in the first section, then they did exactly the same times, Sector 2 and Sector 3.
So the gap last time around was 4.8 seconds. He's pulled him in by half a second as Fenton Seabright. So this race isn't over and done with 11 to go. If he can continue at that sort of a pace, then he's going to catch him. He's going to have enough time, is Seabright. So with 11 laps to go, if he can continue at half a second a lap, he's given himself every opportunity to try and win this race. Meanwhile, he's had a possible issue there for David Munoz. He's looking down, is the young Spaniard. Yeah, it's an issue for the number 64, having made so much progress through from row number 3 of the grid to get himself into podium contention. It's an issue for David Munoz. He looks to be out of this one. He's dropping back. In fact, no, he's getting going once again now. Meanwhile, Moreira still out on track. He's going to have to take the penalty on this lap. Otherwise, he will get a black flag. And I can see, was that a meeting in the Estoril Galicia talent team garage, just trying to work out what to put on the bottom of his pit board, quite possibly. Meanwhile, that's in fact he's taking a long lap penalty. So we do have the long lap penalty in effect here, but that's not what should be taken. It's a ride-through penalty down pit lane that the Brazilian should be taking.
He's either misread the boards or been fed the wrong information. But yeah, ride-through penalty is coming up on our screens for incorrect grid position for Moreira. So let's see if he comes in, but I don't think he will if he's done the long lap penalty. We saw it with Romano Fenati in Moto3 misreading his dashboard. I don't think they have it in the ETC, but clearly conditions difficult for them to see what they're doing. But meanwhile,
the only time he's going to get the notification is he comes down the start-finish straight on his pit board.
Exactly.
But I think that he's still going to have to come down pit lane.
Well, yeah, ride-through penalty is what we're being told, so that must be the correct information. So yeah, hopefully he'll come down pit lane, but let's see.
Meanwhile, at the front, this is your race leader still of Ortola, continuing his progression forward. 4.3 seconds it was last time around as Seabright comes across the line. Has that gap been reduced?
3/10, I think, was Seabright quicker than Ortola on that last lap.
So again, it's progress for Seabright, but he needs to be a little bit better than that. Our timing screens in front of us just being a little bit slow to update, but we can see on the screens in front of us now 3.9 seconds, so he's able to pull in another 0.4 of a second. With 10 laps remaining, it's going to be tight. He's going to have to start pulling him in a little bit over half a second a lap if he wants to give himself an opportunity of leading this one. And the thing he's got to be careful about as well is the battle behind, because Clermont Rouge is quite quickly closing in Fenton Seabright. It was 2.1 seconds last time around, but now that Rouge has got clear track ahead of him, he's able to get beneath that 2 seconds barrier. Meanwhile, Ortola continues out front in the conditions that are not getting any easier.
No, they're really not. Again, looking outside our commentary window on the little roof we've got, it's still hammering it down, so conditions really are not getting any easier for these riders, and it's great to see none of them crashing. It's amazing to see.
Doing brilliantly well. There's the number 89 of Marcos Uriarte. He's the fastest man on track at the moment now, a 206.195, which means that he's bringing himself into podium contention. Another man that's going to be a part of the Red Bull Rookie Championship this coming year. He's got a best result in the European Talent Cup from last year of 7th, so if he can hold on, 4th at the moment for the young Spaniard, it's going to be a best ever finish, but I think that he's got podium aspirations in his mind. Oh, and there's a crash in the background. I think that was Clermont Rouge, just as they were coming through Parabolic Ayrton Senna, the final corner. A big high side for the Frenchman, just out of shot, but yeah, the number 22 is out of it. Hope he's okay as a result of that one. He's up onto his feet, head into his hands. Disappointment for the Frenchman. He was trying to close in Fenton Seabright, and as a result pushed ever so slightly too hard. Spat over the top of these Honda 250 machines.
Yeah, that's my first commentator's curse there, saying it's good to see none of the riders crashing, and then a couple of corners later, down goes.
So there goes Clermont Rouge out to the reckoning, and in front of our commentary position, the number 92 of Diego Moreira is finally taking his ride-through penalty. Meanwhile, let's just have a look down the order. Unfortunately, our timing screens in front of us aren't updating as quickly as we would like. I would like to bring you progress of the supposed to have been poleman Jose Rueda. The last time
here he comes.
we told you he was 13th. It looks like he's still there at the moment. Meanwhile, that's Diego Moreira finally taking his ride-through penalty. He's going to be well out of contention now as a result of that, especially having taken the long lap penalty as well as the ride-through penalty.
Yeah, double dose of penalty there. Unfortunate for the number 92 rider, but yeah, back on track. It's Ortola still leading. Yeah, our timing screens aren't updated at the minute, but I think the gap is looking quite constant.
So there's David Munoz, again another fastest lap of the race from the number 64. He's ever so slightly closing in on the third place man of the number 89 of Marcos Uriarte. Meanwhile, Fenton Seabright continuing his progress. That gap up to the race leader doesn't look to have come down that much though.
David Munoz, a winner in Aragon last year, like we said on the grid, so he'll be wanting a podium to start his year in good fashion.
Part of the Jerez Andalucia Motor Talent Squad. Meanwhile, the man in front of him, Marcos Uriarte, part of the MRE Talent team. That's your pit board for the race leader of Ortola.
Yeah, so that said +4 seconds is what the team are feeding Ortola, so the gap is remaining constant.
Brought down to 3.2 now though, so with 8 laps remaining, is he doing enough? He's averaging out at about 0.4 of a second a lap. So he does give himself a bit of an opportunity here. If anything, if he continues as is, he's just going to get onto the back wheel with 1 lap remaining.
Yeah, fingers crossed Seabright that he can get up to him, but he's just got to make sure that he doesn't push too hard and crash, because second place on his first ever European Talent Cup ride would be a cracking result for the number 47.
Certainly would give him a real boost of confidence before the British Talent Cup gets underway in a week's time at Silverstone. And especially having ridden in conditions like this. I was
going to say, could be very similar conditions to this, so this is great practice for Seabright.
He'll be watching his pit board though, because at the same time, 2.8 seconds the gap behind the battle for third place between Uriarte and Munoz. Down the order, we've got Geiger and then the number 63 of Saifuruddin bin Azman in his debut British European Talent Cup race. The man from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, he won't be used to these conditions. In fact, no, he will do actually. They do get quite the odd torrential downpour in Malaysia, don't they? He's one of the most experienced men out there at 17 years of age, a part of the Asia Talent Cup last year, and that's a fall of the number 48 of Gabin Plonks. Another one of the Frenchmen gone down, another one of the Red Bull rookie riders as well, so a terrible start for the Frenchmen who were supposed to be part of the Red Bull rookie this season. Clement Rouge was battling for the podium and clashed out. And now, in fact, it was the number 48, I think, of Gabin Plonks who's crashed out. Or is it the number 49 of Julio Garcia? No, it's 49. The number 49, Julio Garcia. So he's the teammate of the man in second place. It's 2 that have gone down. Tuck in the front as they go into the Parabolica interior. Couldn't catch who he's actually taken down with him, Julio Garcia. He raises his hands
very unfortunate
to apologise.
Easily done in these conditions.
So that's
Garcia
out of it. And now our timing screens have gone kaput completely. So we're dealing with what we've got in front of us. And Seabright, is he any closer? 3.2 seconds last time around. Meanwhile, that's possibly a change. It is. Uriarte now, no, he's just holding on to third place. It's Munoz right onto his rear wheel, though. Munoz, the teammate of Garcia that we've just seen gone down. So Uriarte just managing to hold on at the moment. He's going to be a part of the Red Bull rookies for next season. Up onto the podium is the man from Cantabria in Spain, battling with Munoz from Sevilla in Spain.
Yeah, this is good for Uriarte. He was injured in a motocross accident last year and out for 5 months. And he was 22nd overall in the European Talent Cup last year. So this is, if he can hold off Munoz for third, this is a great way to start his year. But that's easier said than done, of course, in these conditions and with Munoz.
But he looks to have gapped Munoz quite comfortably already as Uriarte. Meanwhile, that gap is definitely closer. That is well under the 3.2 seconds now. So Seabright is on a charge, but as is the number 89 of Uriarte. He's got past Munoz and quickly put at least a second into him.
Yeah, we can't see our timing screens at the minute, but the gap has considerably close down as we go into the S's.
So into the S's, and then they'll make their way through the long right-hander, the never-ending right-hander of Parabolica, Ayrton Senna. Wind it up before they get down the...
That's under a second now, that gap, I think.
It is quite comfortably. Get down the 1,000 feet, almost 300-metre start-finish straight here at the Circuito de Estoril. Just ever so slightly wide as he winds it up, Uriarte. Meanwhile, let's have a look at the battle for the lead, because Seabright is right onto the rear wheel now of our race leader, Ivan Ortola. He held it from the whole shot, but now with 7 laps remaining, it looks like Fenton Seabright is going to retake the lead, and for the first time in the European Talent Cup, is a Brit going to lead? Not yet. Not quite. Yet.
It was alongside him on the straight as he came past our comment box window, but it looks like Ortola got the drive and braked a little bit later than Seabright, but no matter. The battle for first is raging now.
Certainly is. Ortola holds on, but the pressure from Seabright, surely it's going to break ever so shortly. Here he comes, Seabright. Meanwhile, that's Uriarte who's gone down in the background. I thought he was going to be able to catch the front two, but he's took the front as they come through turn 3. So Uriarte out of it, and now Munoz up to 3rd. Meanwhile, here comes the move for the lead. Seabright again having a good look up the inside, but no way through. Ortola holding him off. But we've still got 6 laps to go. It's going to be difficult, surely, for Ortola to hold Seabright off with this many laps remaining. Meanwhile, good to see Uriarte up onto his feet as a result of that crash. Disappointment for the 14-year-old.
Here we come then into turn 6, the interior Parabolica. As you say, 6 laps to go. There's still a long way to go in these conditions.
That is the Fenton Seabright camp. You can see Jack Hart's mum and dad to the right of that, and then Fenton Seabright's mum to the left. You could guess that that's the nervous-looking lady.
Absolutely. Here we go then into turns 7 and 8.
We're into Gancho now, turn 8 and 9 as we wind up before we get into the S's. Seabright again with a big look under the inside. He can be patient here though, Seabright. He's done all the hard work. He's caught up, a 4.9 second gap it was at one point. He's now up onto the rear wheel. He's surely just going to take his time, see where Ortola is strong and where Ortola is weak. I think we haven't seen it on camera, but for the gap to have been eradicated as quickly as it has, possibly a mistake coming from the Samagloba Angel Nieto man. Meanwhile, he runs ever so slightly wide through Parabolica, Ayrton Senna, and they're side by side. And now Seabright goes into the slipstream of the number 24, the Spaniard. He tried it last time around. This time he's going to pull out. And is he going to make his way through? Yes, he has. Seabright leads, and for the first time, is he going to run wide though? Ortola with an opportunity to dive back under. No, it's Seabright that leads, and a Brit leads the European Talent Cup for the first time. The number 47 of Fenton Seabright is out front. Can he put a little bit of a comfort buffer between himself and Ortola now with 5 laps remaining?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Seabright can pull away from Ortola as they come up to the back markers. Let's hope they get out of the way. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Ortola can stick with Seabright now. Like you say, he's done all the hard work. Now he's got past him. Let's see if he can make a break. But there's still 5 laps to go, so there's plenty of time for a comeback from the man in second.
Meanwhile, the back marker of Daniel Begeda gets out of the way and allows the 2 leaders to continue on. Interesting to see just how Ortola reacts to this now. He's going to dive right back under the inside as they move into turn 6, Parabolica interior. So he's not hanging about, is Ortola. He wants to lead this race for as long as he possibly can. Possibly quite a smart tactic, because in these conditions, a red flag, you could possibly say, is more likely than in dry conditions.
Absolutely. And
with 2/3 race distance now completed, he wants to make sure he's at the front if a red flag is ever to come out. Oh, and a back marker just getting in his way there. Fermin Aldeguer.
Safely negotiate the back marker. Blue flag's waving, that's good. Into the S's.
He did hold him up though, ever so slightly.
Did slightly, but no matter.
It's allowed Seabright
really
to get back under the inside as they...
Cracking move from Seabright.
Flick into turn 12. Now the long right-hander of turn 13, Parabolica, Ayrton Senna. This is where Seabright was so good last time around, and again you can see he's just closing in onto the rear wheel of that Aspar Junior team.
Tight line. Has he got through?
Looks like he has. So they're going to be side by side as we go down the start-finish straight. As they come across the line, there's going to be 4 laps remaining. Again, Ortola just bobbing his head to the right to try and see. And here comes Seabright. He's got the inside line. He managed to make his way through last time around, but this time it's Ortola stronger on the brakes as they go into turn 1 and pick it up and make the way down towards turn 2. A good run from Seabright as he again has a good look under the inside. No way through. Ortola holds him off. So it looks like it's going to be these two. Oh, that's poor from Ortola, though. An opportunity for Seabright to possibly make his way through, but we stay as we are. Ortola leading, Seabright in second. Meanwhile, last time we checked, it was David Munoz in third place as a result of Uriarte crashing out a couple of laps ago. There's former 125 world champion Nico Tarola, part of the Angel Nieto Summer Global squad. He'll be pleased with what he's seeing from his man Ivan Ortola so far. I'm impressed with what we're seeing from the young Spaniard here, Elliot, because having been 4.9 seconds clear, it can't be good for his confidence to see lap after lap that gap be diminished and diminished and diminished, suddenly to lose the lead, but he's recomposed himself and he's back out in front and already putting a couple of bike lengths into Seabright. Yeah, this is a good lap for Ortola. Like you say, seeing that gap come down and down would be disheartening, but like you say, he's regrouped, he's repassed Seabright, and yeah, they're both riding really well. It's great to see. Into the S's they come. Seabright closer through the S's. I think he's got that bit hooked up on the outside line. You can see the different riding styles. Ortola really hanging off his Honda machine as Seabright is more upright. You can see Seabright far better through this final sector. Just got held up as they went through turns 11 and 12 there. But again, as they come through turn 13, the final on the track, Seabright is able to close in so much. Able to hold such a tight line as well. Ortola drifting wide every time, but Seabright able to hang on to the curb as much as possible. It'll be interesting to see on the last lap if they can still do that, who gets the run to the line. It looks like Ortola can still get that run to the line on the last lap, so Seabright might need to make a move before that parabolica at the final turn, but let's see if he can do it. 3 laps to go. Despite getting such a good run through there, Seabright hasn't really been able to draft past Ortola on 2 or 3 occasions now. Meanwhile, this is David Munoz in quite a lonely third position. He's got 9 seconds up the road in front of him and about 8 seconds behind him to Kirk Geiger in 4th place. That man in the background was a back marker. Meanwhile, back with the leaders, and it's still Ortola that leads under ever-increasing pressure from Fenton Seabright, though. Yeah, can Seabright get a run down this back straight with the right kink, sorry. Right behind him. That's the turn number 7 of Arella, and then they're going to be hard onto the brakes now into turn number 6, of Parabolica Interior. A couple of back markers coming up. Hopefully they don't get in the way. Meanwhile, as they go through the double apex left-hander of Parabolica Interior, this second sector, it looks like Ortola are possibly stronger. He's the last few laps able to pull out 2 or 3 bike lengths, but Seabright able to close it in as they get into the more technical, the more twisty stuff into the final sector of Gancho and the S's, and then the final turn of Parabolica Et and Senna. Yeah, number 93 getting in the way. That's Marco Gaggi, the Italian. The blue flags were waving, and it just allowed Seabright to gain a couple of bike lengths closer onto Ortola. This is where Seabright's stronger then, so what can he do through this final sector? Next time they come past us and down the start-finish straight, there's just going to be 2 laps remaining. He's running out of time to make his move. Yeah, let's see if he can hold the tight line again through here. Look at Ortola hanging off his machine. Completely different riding styles. But yeah, Seabright again closing in and getting that inside line. But can he run it to the line first? I don't think he's quite in front. You can see the pace. But it's close. Yeah, that Summer Global Angel Nieto gets a better run, doesn't it? He's so much stronger, despite Seabright able to get the jump on him through turn 13 as soon as they get it up onto the fat bar to the tyre. And that Summer Global Angel Nieto bike has just got the punch on Seabright down the start-finish straight, which means that if it does come to a drag to the flag, you would have to say that the Spaniard is going to be favourite. Here's Munoz still in his lonely 3rd place. It's not going to be a best ever finish in the European Talent Cup, for the 12-year-old. Picked up victory at Aragon last time out. This is the battle for 4th place. Dirk Geiger, I think that's the number 63 of Saifuruddin bin Azman that he's battling with. Oh, and what a gaggle of riders this is. This must be the battle for 6th place. There's your poleman, Jose Rueda. What a ride from him, from last place on the grid up inside the top 10, and surely he's just going to go further with 4 riders in front of him. If he can get inside the top 6, it's without a doubt the ride of the day from Jose Rueda. Frustration in his camp later on tonight, though, surely.
Absolutely, but like you say, Marc Marquez style coming from the back of the grid through the field up to 6th. What a great result that is. But
he'll be absolutely spitting feathers that he didn't start from pole position, knowing that he's got that sort of pace. He has got another opportunity, the European Talent Cup race number 2, getting underway at 2 o'clock later in the afternoon. And in conditions that don't look like they're going to ease up, you would have to say he's going to be favourite. Meanwhile, 2 laps to go. That is Nico Terol. Not much you can do from there, Nico. You're just going to have to wish your man Ivan Ortola across the line now. We're into the final sector on lap 2. The next time they come across the line, it's going to be 1 lap to go. Seabright, is he holding his cards close to his chest? Has he got a little bit more in his locker to attack Ortola on the last lap? It
really is difficult to tell, but both riders riding superbly in these wet conditions. Let's see if Seabright can again get that tighter line and get the run, because Ortola, he looks a bit further ahead, but can Seabright get in the slipstream? Because, as you say, this is coming on to the last lap, so it's now or never.
It's as strong as Ortola has been through there as they wind it up and come down the start-finish straight for the penultimate time. Next time around, this will be the drag to the flag. There's his pit board. 1 lap to go, P1, 0.0. Nico Terol giving a good old vamos to his team member Ivan Ortola across the line, and Seabright is nowhere near close enough to attack this time around. Has he pulled the pin early, Ortola? He looks comfortable. He's at least, 2-3 tenths of a second clear of Seabright as they go through turn 1. There's Munoz in 3rd place. He's not going to be challenged for that final place on the podium. He just needs to push her home to take that final podium place. But on the last lap, we want to be focusing on the battle for the lead between Ortola and Fenton Seabright.
Yeah, Munoz clearing 3rd.
Oh! And that's Rueda. Oh, we were just singing his praises about what a ride it was.
Curse.
Jose Rueda, he's battled his way through from last on the grid, up inside the top 10, and he's blown it on the last lap. But here's the battle for the lead. Seabright just about closed in onto the rear wheel, but it's Ortola that holds on.
Is he close enough? I don't think he is coming into the interior parabolica, so he's not going to quite make a move there. But like you say, it's the final sector that Seabright looks to be strongest, but Ortola is holding firm for now.
Surely last passing opportunity is going to be into the S's. As they come through turn 6, they've got 3 corners to go. No real passing opportunity. Good punch out of turn 6 from Ortola there, just to give him a bit of breathing space, but Seabright's hanging on. He's not close enough at the moment. It's going to take a mistake from Ortola.
Closing in.
He is. Here he comes then, as we make the way through towards the S's. One last right turn, turn number 8.
Is he going to go for it? It looks like he's going to go for it. The S's up the inside. Is he going to go?
Here he comes, Seabright. Had a good look up the inside, but nowhere through. Ortola holds on. There's only 3 corners to go now. Turns 11, 12 and 13. Ortola, there comes Seabright. Seabright under the inside, but Ortola's going to fight back to take the lead back. Seabright with 2 corners to go. Moment from Ortola as he tried to flick right into the parabolic Ayrton Senna. Seabright's going to look to go around the outside. Can he get the run towards the flag? Oh, he's just getting held up, and here comes Seabright
on the switchback. Has he got the run?
Here comes Seabright, he's into the lead, and Fenton Seabright, can he hold on towards the checkered flag? Ortola's going to pull out from the slipstream. Can the Spaniard take the lead? Oh, he takes it on the line. It's Ivan Ortola that surely takes it, but the pair collide across the start-finish line. Seabright's got his hands up in the air claiming he's taken victory, but I think it was just Ortola that took victory on the line. What a final sector. Unfortunately, we can't see because we haven't got our timing screens working in front of us. Seabright is like a boxer with both hands up into the air, claiming victory is his. But it looked as if it was Ortola on his debut European Talent Cup race, and he's going to take victory. David Munoz takes the final podium place, but what a final sector. The pair swapping places 3 times. We said he was strong through the parabolic Ayrton Senna. Was Fenton Seabright, and he just about managed to hold on. But, as we said the lap previous, the pace of that Sama Global Angel Nieto machine of Ivan Ortola just about doing enough to drag past Seabright and take the opening win. What a race though, and it's good to see, although he's got a bit of a hobble, Seabright, He does look like he's okay. Making his way back down pit lane. That's Dad to left-hand side with arm over his shoulder, and that's Jack Hart as well, giving him a big hug, his compatriot, as we see the pair come across the line. He's fortunate to be okay, and glad that he is as well, as the pair come together. So this is the drag towards the flag, a photo finish. Seabright that held it. Let's just see whether he managed to get in front or Tola. I think he did just, yes he did. It was surely Tola that took it just on the drag towards the flag. He doesn't know whether he's done enough, Seabright. But what a ride, nevertheless, from the young Brit. The first time we've seen a Briton challenge at the front of the European Talent Cup for quite some time. Well, there's your race winner, Ivan Ortola. First time in the European Talent Cup Championship, and what a way to kick things off for the 14-year-olds. Surely a star for the future. David Munoz, another podium finish for him, just his second, having finished 13th overall in the championship last season, mostly in part thanks to a victory at Aragon. He's back onto the podium, though, is the 12-year-old from Sevilla. And I would try to take you down the top 10, but as I say, our timing screens in the studio just not working at the moment. But one thing we know for certain, it's that man that takes the opening victory of the European Talent Cup. Nico Terol will be in there celebrating with him, as will the rest of the Sama Global Angel Nieto squads. Brilliant ride from the young Spaniard. Showed so much maturity for just a 14-year-old, having been so far clear to battle his way back. That's Barry Baltus to the right, a man who has actually won the opening race for Angel Nieto in the European Talent Cup this time. Last year, he's going to be in the Junior World Championship race, which gets underway at 1 o'clock. Spanish isn't great, but I think Nico Terol saying, don't worry about it. It was possibly a racing incident more than anything else for the pair to come together like that. Here comes David Munoz, the 12-year-old. Great ride from him to pick up the final podium place, a lonely one in the end. But he did have to fight off a number of men, including Clement Rouge, who crashed out. And then Marcos Uriarte, who looked as if he was going to get himself in onto the battle for the win at some stages before crashing out. But in this battle of attrition, it was Munoz that came out on top. There's Chanon Chu and Dennis Unchu as well. So I didn't know that Chan was here, actually supporting his younger brother in the Junior World Championship later on. Clearly family friends of the Munoz clan, part of the REF Andalusia Motor Talent squad. We had to see Fenton Seabright in Parc Ferme though. He was up and okay, but possibly has just made a quick trip to the medical centre because he was hobbling a little bit just to get checked out, because of course the European Talent Cup guys back in action later on this afternoon at 2 o'clock. There is Seabright, still hobbling, a grimace on his face. Jack Hart to his left and fellow compatriot Josh Watley to his right as well, just offering a little bit of moral support. But a great ride from him. What a confidence boost that will be before he goes into the British Talent Cup in a week's time at Silverstone. As he recover his bike down the start-finish straight. He only picked up one podium in that series last year. In fact, that was at the opening round at Donington Park, having got onto the final podium spot in 3rd place. As we see the clash across the line. I said it was a racing incident earlier, but I must say I don't think Ortola comes out of that one completely clean. He did make a bit of a move towards the left-hand side, did the young Spaniard. What a dramatic finish it was. Too much for Nico Terol even to handle. Head in his hands for the former world champion, who now acts as a rider coach for the Aspar squad. And there's a part of the junior talent team as well, Max Cook. All 4 of those guys were battling it out in the British Talent Cup.
What a ride in great circumstances, tricky conditions. How do you feel?
I feel very good. I ride with the difficult conditions, and difficult because I was first and the second group take me, and very happy. Say thanks to my team, my sponsors, family and all the people around.
Y en español.
Ha sido una carrera muy difícil porque me he escapado al principio, pero luego me han acortado mucho el grupo, me han cogido. Pero bueno, ha sido una carrera muy difícil y quiero dar las gracias a mi familia, mi equipo y los sponsors, todos los que están alrededor mía.
Gracias, Ivan.
That's Ivan Ortola alongside Elliot York after his first win of the European Talent Cup. What a dramatic race, and it's all the drama started before we even got underway. The poleman Jose Rueda and Diego Moreira, his teammate, having to be wheeled off of the grid before we even got underway. What a ride it was from him, the young kid in the end. Unfortunately didn't pick up any points, but he'll take great confidence from that. As the race got underway though, finally, Fenton Seabright was your pole position man. But it was Ivan Ortola from row number 2 of the grid that took the whole shot, and it looks like he was just going to clear off, eventually breaking clear, upwards of 5 seconds up the road. There was one of the earlier fallers, that was Adrian Cruces. Not a great day at all for the Estrella Galicia talent team. Meanwhile, back down the field, Fenton Seabright from second on the grid. Didn't make the greatest of starts. Moreira, who should have started on the back of the grid like his teammate, was told to come down pit lane, but got his wires slightly crossed and went down the long lap penalty route instead. Meanwhile, at the front, it was Ortola continuing to assert his dominance. Nearly 5 seconds clear, but suddenly Seabright was able to make his way through, up into second place, cut that gap down to absolutely nothing. And with 5 laps remaining, the battle ensued. Marcos Uriarte should have had a podium place before crashing out. Instead, it was David Munoz that was able to take that final podium place. But it was all settled between the Briton and the Spaniard in the closing stages, both having their opportunities to lead the race. With Seabright having caught him and eventually passed Ortola, before Ortola then dived back underneath him. Meanwhile, that man, Jose Rueda, we said what a race he had from the back of the grid. He was up to 9th at one point. Meanwhile, as the pair came across the line with 1 lap to go, thumbs up from Nico Terol to Ivan Ortola. As he came down the start and finish, Seabright managed to draft his way past. The pair came together as they came across the line, with Ortola a whisker ahead of the Briton to take the first win of the European Talent Cup. What a race it was. And most importantly, good to see Fenton Seabright up onto his feet as a result. A podium finish for the Briton, a brilliant result nevertheless. But it was Ortola that comes out on top. Celebrations in Parc Ferme. He's your early championship leader. But the good news is we get to do it all over again. 2 o'clock in just a couple of hours' time. The European Talent Cup boys are back out on track. What an opening race. Elliot York back into the box with me as well. A rather pleased Ivan Ortola.
Yes, he was very pleased, and I saw all the riders coming back into scrutineering, freezing, shivering. Conditions are awful out there, and it's great to see these guys smiling on the podium after what was, like you say, a tremendous race.
It was a great way to kick off Repsol CEV, great way to kick off our day. 4 more races to come. I hope they're all as exciting as that, as the 3 young men take the place onto the podium. First, the team award is awarded to the Sama Global Angel Nieto squad. Delight for them to pick up the first race victory of the year. 3rd place is going to go the way of David Munoz, a 2nd podium in the European Talent Cup for him. Race winner in Aragon last season. No, it's the man to your right-hand side, as Fenton Seabright just points out. He wants to pick up that 2nd place trophy, not the one in 3rd.
Good on him.
Celebrations for Munoz. I'm sure mixed emotions, possibly for Fenton Seabright to be there in 2nd, but a beaming grin from the young Brit nevertheless. The race winner going the way of 14-year-old Ivan Ortola. Huge celebrations from him, fist bump in the direction of his team. Sama Global Angel Nieto squad taking the opening victory. And of course, in the European Talent Cup and Repsol CV, a nice check for €500 worth of fuel. And Ortola's got to drive back to Valencia. The Spanish national anthem rings around the Circuito de Estoril. Our first race winner of the 2019 European Talent Cup winner, Ivan Ortola. And as a result of that, he will, of course, be your early championship leader when we go through the standings in a short while. We'll also run through the top 10 for you as well. Because sadly, we're still having quite a few technical difficulties with our timing screens, which makes our job slightly more difficult. We can't really see anything that's happening. But
we're doing our best.
We certainly are, we certainly are. Obviously, with all three of those young men well under 16 years of age, that is not champagne. What is it, fizzy water, I think, that they're spraying?
Yeah, they'll get the champagne in a few years, I think. They can wait.
In a few years' time, they'll be able to spray the champagne. Next up then is Moto 2, but in the meanwhile, let's just run you through the championship standings as a result of that opening European Talent Cup race. Will, of course, be Ivan Ortola to Tottenham from Fenton Seabright. There might be a couple of clashes for Seabright in terms of him putting himself together as a bit of a championship contender. From speaking to him earlier, I believe the British Talent Cup is going to take his preference throughout the year. So if there are any clashes, I've not actually had a chance to have a look to see if it does clash with any of the British rounds of the European Talent Cup. It means that he will be in that championship rather than the European Talent Cup. In terms of where we go to next for the Repsol CEV, a couple of months' time, we're at Valencia.